We are a triple A university. Great academics, great arts, and great athletics. So the committee that selected our commencement speaker, they were led by Evan McQuirns and Marissa Salzman. I asked them to come to the lectern and introduce our speaker.
Hey, Terps. On behalf of the Senior Council and Commencement Speaker Selection Committee, it is our honor and pleasure to introduce to you our most distinguished guest speaker, Mr. John Berry.
A native of Maryland, Mr. Berry grew up right around the corner in Rockville, Maryland, and earned his bachelor's degree, summa cum laude, in government and politics in 1980 from this university. After earning his Master of Public Administration from Syracuse, he came back and worked as the legislative director for our own Congressman, Steny Hoyer, for 10 years.
Mr. Berry has held many high-ranking positions in the federal government. At one point in his career, in the Department of the Treasury, he was responsible for supervising 40% of the federal law enforcement, including the Secret Service.
Mr. Berry fulfilled a lifelong dream of both his and mine when he was the director of the National Zoo. Currently, Mr. Berry is the director of the United States Office of Personnel Management. As director of OPA, he serves as the administration's chief advisor on human resources issues for the nation's 1.9 million federal employees. It also means that he's in charge of hiring graduates.
Both Marissa and I were inspired by Mr. Berry's passionate conviction for public service and his ability to succeed despite many barriers.
Mr. Berry's career shows that in America, hard work, talent, and a fierce determination can lead to success.
Class of 2012, President Loh, faculty, family, and friends, it is with great honor and pleasure that we introduce the University of Maryland's Spring Commencement Speaker, Mr. John Berry.
Evan, Marissa, thank you for that introduction. President Loh, I remember from your joke about an Irish wake, my mother used to tell me, the only words you really want to hear at your own wake are, "Look, he's still moving." Chancellor Kirwan, I never dreamed I'd be on the stage with you when you and I sat here together back in 1980, and I was down there. It's an honor to be back with you, sir. And President Loh and distinguished guests, it is a great joy to be here with you. But my congratulations go to you, our graduates, and also to your parents, your professors, and your loved ones who are all around you today. They have raised you up, they have taught you, and they have stood by you through thick and thin. Don't these folks look good in cap and gown at long last? Now, it is very humbling to be with you today and bring the personal congratulations of the President of the United States. But it is more humbling to be invited back to speak at your own alma mater. It's good to see that some things haven't changed. Carroll Hall is still the best dorm on campus. That statue of Testudo the Terrapin's nose I saw is as shiny as it ever was. And the best pizza in the world still comes from the original Lido's on University Boulevard. Oh, I guess some things do change. When I sat in your chairs in 1980, things were a little different. You actually had to pick up the phone to know who was calling you. A tumbler was a kind of cup. And Angry Birds was the plot of a very scary Alfred Hitchcock movie. Milk was $2.16 a gallon. And wait for the gasp, my undergraduate tuition was $442 a semester. Today's graduates often owe far too much in loans, and it is a heavy chain holding you back, and one that my generation has got to help figure out how you can break it. But perhaps most unbelievable of all, back in 1980, Democrats and Republicans were often friends. And they even worked together in the Congress to get things done. Today, our politics have grown divided, deeply divided, and compromise is often seen as a failure. But that's not the way it should work. So here is your challenge: heal the nation. No one party has a lock on the truth. No one party has every solution. Our debates need a lot less anger and irony and a whole lot more humility. They should be about thinking through solutions and arriving at compromises that make the best sense for our country. Now, how do we get beyond the yelling and the finger pointing? I try to ask myself three questions. Is this how I would treat myself? What uplifts the weak? What defends the rights of the unpopular? And I also try to lead by example. I was sworn in by a dear friend and mentor, Constance Newman. Connie was appointed the first African-American director of the Office of Personnel Management by President George Herbert Walker Bush, and she is a passionate Republican. Now, I recognize that it is hard to rally for a call to compromise, but I want you, our brightest up-and-comers, to break the gridlock that is now too common. Find ways to work with people who disagree with you, and make sure the Hunger Games remain a fantasy and never a reality. Now, this is going to take time, and it's going to take changing many minds, but minds do change. I grew up at a time when being gay was clearly not okay, and yet I knew I was from a young age. I learned to hide it because I was afraid. I was afraid that my God didn't love me. I was afraid that my family would reject me, especially my conservative father. And I was afraid that my dream of a career in public service would be forever deferred. Now, from your perspective today, that all probably seems pretty silly. But times were different then. In 1957, 2 years before I was born, a man named Frank Kameny was fired from his federal job solely for being gay. Frank had fought his way from foxhole to foxhole with Patton's army in World War II. He came home and earned a PhD from Harvard, and he was told he was unfit to serve. In fact, he was told that every gay person was unfit to serve and was a security risk, and he was called a criminal and a pervert by the precursor to the office that I now hold. Frank fought back. He was the first American to do so. He fought all the way to the Supreme Court when even the ACLU backed out, and he lost. But he persisted, and he joined together with allies, and slowly, very slowly, he changed opinions and changed laws. American psychiatrists, because of Frank, stopped counting homosexuality as a disease, and laws stopped counting gays as criminals. Because Frank demanded equal treatment, he made my career possible. And I am honored that he lived to win our agency's highest award, named for the most famous holder of my office, Teddy Roosevelt, and given for the defense of the principle that in America you should be judged only by how well you do the job and nothing else. As for myself, I faced my fears. I drew strength from my faith, finding joy in the extravagant and all-encompassing love of God. I spoke to my family and my father. Now, when I came out, my dad asked me never to bring my partner to the house. And this was hard because we were a very close family and had dinner every Sunday night, even after we had all left home. 10 years later, when my partner lay dying from AIDS, it was my father, a man who had survived the Great Depression and Guadalcanal, who held him in his arms, weeping and saying, "I love you like my own son." Wounds do heal. Minds do change. That is the value of truth. It lays a bedrock of certainty that the sand of half-truths cannot rival. Be true to yourself and your values, because the world needs the whole you, and we need each and every one of you. If you hold back, or if you are held back by prejudice or by fear of failure or by cynicism, it is our whole world that will miss out. We need the power of your diversity, the passion of your religion, the energy of your age, and the strength of your family and home. You know, we often think of diversity as a concept born in the 1960s. But think about it for a moment. The first person killed in the American Revolution was Crispus Attucks, a black man with Wampanoag ancestry who died at the Boston Massacre in 1770. In 1863, it was Corporal Joseph H. DeCastro who carried the Massachusetts flag into the battle at Gettysburg, and with only his flagpole as a weapon, he struck down opponents during the carnage and the onslaught of Pickett's charge, thereby becoming the first Hispanic American awarded the Medal of Honor. In 1883, the world's longest suspension bridge and the tallest structure in the Western Hemisphere, the Brooklyn Bridge, the engineering marvel of its day, was brought to completion and managed under construction by Emily Roebling. And in the moonshot, the average age in Neil Armstrong's mission control room in Houston, 26. 26. Throughout all our history, our motto sparkles, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. Diversity made America, and it makes America great. Our country is the freest nation in the world, and our secret is that we have better unlocked the potential of our people and their creativity and their optimism, more so than any other nation. And the good news for each of you is our best days still lie ahead. Each of you can serve our country in any way that you can imagine. And I hope some of you will consider government service, because it offers a place to do great good and on a scale that simply can't be beat. We have just launched a new program a week ago, and I think you're going to like the name of it. It's called the Recent Graduates Program. And it will give you 2 years to easily join the federal government after you graduate. And I hope you will consider it. But wherever you go, public, private, or nonprofit, do good. And if you find yourself at any point working for a bad person, walk away. No matter how much money they're paying you, no matter how much power they're giving you, walk away. Let me leave you with a last thought about your moment in history and how it compares to the past 6,000 years of recorded human history. I'm going to take you out of the day-to-day and what's the stock market doing. Think of where you are and the pinnacle on which you stand. We have decoded the human genome, walked on the moon. Less than a month ago, we had a piece of equipment that retired our space shuttle Discovery that had flown 140 million miles, the equivalent of over 350 voyages by Magellan. Research that took all of us up here a generation ago, it would take us 2 days and 3 trips to the library. You do with 2 thumbs and in 3 minutes. If the printing press launched the age of reason, what great age is the smartphone in your pocket going to unlock? More is possible than ever before. And I say this humbly, you are better than us. And we expect more of you. Make something great. Make it so great that ages hence we'll look back like we do now to the age of Pericles or to the Renaissance and say, that is what humans can achieve and accomplish. Make an age worthy of a name. make us proud, even prouder than we are today. May God bless your every effort, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. On behalf of the graduating class, we would like to present you with a small token of our appreciation for speaking to us this evening.
A Maryland tie and a book of traditions.
Right.
Of course, we hope you enjoy these gifts and that they will serve as a reminder of this wonderful day. Thank you again.